Today we're checking out the brand new Sigma 16-28 contemporary lens, a budget-friendly wide-angle zoom lens for your full-frame Sony camera. All right, let's talk about this lens. First of all, it's extremely lightweight. It's probably one of the lightest lenses that I've ever held in my hands, and it's a zoom lens as well. The barrel of the lens does not go out whenever you zoom in or zoom out. All the zooming mechanisms are inside, so that's great for gimbal work. The overall feel and construction of the lens is pretty solid as well. Like, it has this very smooth, matte finish, metallic kind of feel, and so it's a very well-built lens in the Sigma contemporary line. The lens is weather sealed, which is great, so it's a rubber gasket on the back of the lens, and the zoom and the focus rings are really smooth. Like, there's a nice smooth tension for the zoom ring, and for the focus ring, it's not as tense, but definitely very smooth as well. And honestly, it's a pretty basic lens. I mean, you got the autofocus manual focus switch, you got a lens hood, zoom ring, aperture ring, weather sealed. Like, it's everything that you would expect from a Sigma contemporary lens, and this lens is actually very well built. All right, so just gonna do a little vlog test, and yeah, I love holding this entire setup way better. It's way lighter, and I don't know, it just kind of makes vlogging less tiring. And speaking of vlogging, it's important to have a versatile lens, which is why I love the Sony 16-35 G Master lens. But with the Sigma 60-28, it only goes up to 28 millimeters. It's still pretty versatile, but you just can't go very far. And so yeah, we're just gonna do a little zoom test just to show you the versatility of the focal range of the lens. All right, here we go. We are at 16 millimeters, and we're gonna zoom in to 28. Very nice smooth zoom. But yeah, the zoom doesn't go that far from 16 to 28, where with the 16-35, you are going to have a much better range. All right, so now we have the Sony 16-35 G Master lens. We are looking at 16 millimeters, and we're gonna punch into 35. And yeah, that further reach just does it for me. Like, I love having that extra reach for versatility. Then again, the Sony 16-35 G Master lens is a very expensive lens, where the Sigma 16-28 is much more affordable. All right, we're gonna do a simple autofocus test comparing the Sigma 16-28 with the Sony 16-35 G Master lens, starting with the Sigma. Here we go. All right, and here is the Sony 16-35 G Master lens at 28 millimeters. Here we go, autofocus test. Going a little deeper into the video side of things, the Sigma 16-28 is actually a pretty solid performer. Fast autofocus response that keeps up with my Sony a7 IV and a7S III. And in terms of distortion, like, there's barely any, which is really impressive. The only thing with using this specific lens as a video lens is that it's not as versatile as a typical 16-35 zoom lens. Like, this has a focal range of 16 millimeters to 28, which is great for a lot of situations. But with a typical 16-35 millimeter zoom lens, like, that extra 7 millimeters can go a long way, making the 16-35 a more versatile lens to use. But I can't get over the fact that this lens only cost $899 versus the Sony G Master 16-35, which costs $2,000. That's a lot of money. Now, this lens is probably better compared with the Tamron 17-28, but unfortunately, I don't have any experience using the Tamron 17-28, and so I can't really speak into that. Although if I had to bet, I'd probably say that the 16-28 is a better performer because I'm just a big fan of Sigma lenses, and they are solid performers. Now, in terms of photography, like, oh man, the photos shot with this lens are incredibly sharp. The chromatic aberration is very well controlled. In fact, I don't really see any chromatic aberration, especially in these photos over here. So in terms of just photography in general, like, this is a very good lens to shoot incredibly sharp photos. And even though this is categorized as a contemporary lens, like, it's pretty close to being an art lens. But for anyone looking for a high quality, budget-friendly wide-angle zoom lens, it's hard to beat the Sigma 16-28 contemporary lens. Well, that's the Sigma 16-28 DGDN lens. Let me know what you think of this lens in the comments below. It's getting a little bit windy. I don't know if the audio is good enough. Why is it always windy whenever I'm filming outside? Like, Texas weather is just weird. This lens is great, but Texas weather, that's weird.